inefficiencies that I see working on these things. $5 like this, 5 cents.
Somebody's putting that in.
Everybody's still in there, or in the past.
Right. But no one quite knows it.
Well, I mean, these
Meta. But that's all for outside. That's Microsoft, right? But the thing is, like, I'm working extensively on the one we have. Where's medical work? It's all outside board investment. So if you want to hire your construction company to build something that really don't need, you do it inefficiently. And then all these things arise that cost more money. It does in a certain amount of money. That's the thing. One is the one that's on the site up there, that's the construction company. I have watched them move. There's a dirt pile, topsoil. I have watched them move that pile 8 times and not spread it. I watched them cut 20 foot of grade on one spot and then put it back. You can't. I watched them pave 8 acres for a parking lot for all of their workers and tear it out again before they even put the line down.
Oh, good.
You can't imagine the waste it is astronomical.
You should write a book.
Oh, and the thing is, when I was down working on Foxconn 8 years ago, I saw the same thing and I said, watch, this will never actually materialize.
Seeing the hour is 6:30, we will call the meeting November 19, 2025, regular Board of Education meeting to order. Let's all rise. Pledge of allegiance, please.
Roll call, maybe?
Roll call.
Yeah.
We'll do it after the pledge. All right, we're off. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Michelle has reminded me again. Roll call. Michelle.
Here.
Thank you. Scott. Here. Bolton. Here. Layton.
Here.
And I'm here. So all board members are present. We have a quorum. Statement of purpose. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. Has the meeting been noticed properly?
It has.
So that is verified. We have some public comment tonight. Time for visitors and guests. They may address the board on any agenda item. The board president at their discretion may limit comments to no longer than 3 minutes. So first up, we have Mr. LaCrosse.
When we get into the single site information, I think before we get too far into it, either the administration, school board, or whatever, should come up with some ideas as to each building, as to if it was determined we went to the Neosho site or the Salesville site, what's needed or would be liked to have at either locations if it was to get to that purpose. Because right now, if we have a meeting, we don't even say, well, we can't put it in this school or we can't put it in that school. Come up with some kind of, and I don't know who would do it, or whatever. Let's say if we go to the Neosho site, we just need some alterations, and we need a gym. If we go to Salesville, we need classrooms and bathrooms or blah blah whatever. So when we get further into it, that we already have that information without starting over again, saying, well, let's just get that. And nothing more than just a suggestion as to what it would be if it was all at one location. That's it.
All right, thank you. Lynn, is the Wisconsin Assembly bills on the agenda here?
No, but I'm addressing 5.
What are you addressing?
the same thing Nick was addressing.
Oh, it doesn't say that on here.
Oh, I apologize.
Oh.
I was trying to write so quick because you were starting.
All right. Go
Uh-huh.
ahead.
All right. I had sent some of the information to Clayton. Basically, somebody should probably get a hold of Barb Dietrich because there are 7 assembly bills right now that they're trying to put forward that all address the school in some form or another. There's an increase of pupil aid, there's funds for feasibility studies, for consolidation, there's grants, there's possibility of moving the school districts, and a bunch of other things. So before everybody gets going one direction to find out the state's going another direction, I think it'd be a good idea just to get a hold of them, find out if any of these are even going to come in and affect anybody. If they do, how will they affect you? And at least save a little bit of time and money, you know what I mean, before you get started kind of putting the cart before the horse here. So that was just it. I suggest getting a hold of Barb Dietrich and asking her how these assembly bills, if they are going to affect the district, do before everybody spends all this time, you know what I mean, on research.
Sure. Without answering, like I'm not supposed to. I was on that Zoom call this afternoon.
Oh, see? Timely then.
So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all we have for public comment. So let's move on to point number 3 here, the consent agenda, the October 22nd, 2025 school board meeting minutes. Everybody had a chance to look at that. Was there any changes needed, any adjustments? And approval of vouchers. Treasurer's report. Anything new to say right now? Colton?
No, I don't even know, is it on our agenda? We have, the audit is coming, I guess, basically.
It's gonna be next month.
Yeah, but, it sounds like everything's in order, so.
Okay. Then the expense report and revenue report, anything to bring forward there? Nothing? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
One thing I do want to say about last month's meeting. Last month, during the meeting, I addressed the tax levy and the increase, and I added one too many zeros to my calculation when I did the mill rate. I was off by a factor of 10. The numbers that I stated were wrong. I said my own personal taxes were gonna go up like $12, it was actually $120. So, just as a correction, I was wrong on that and someone brought it to my attention, and I went home that night and, oh crap. So, just putting that out there that, yep, I had one too many zeros in mine.
So we have fact checkers out there on the job.
We do, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a good thing.
That's right.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda is approved. So we'll move forward with our superintendent report.
Thank you. Back in July, when I was first interviewed for this position and hired for the position, one of the things that I told the board that I'm excited about as the interim superintendent is that I get to be very upfront and truthful, and that I'd be kind of coming in and auditing every part of the district. So I just want to give a quick update. As Colton just mentioned, the business office gets audited by professional auditors every year, and that came back. We shared it, the draft proposal. It's about 50 pages long. It's a really fun read if you ever need to sleep. But it came back incredibly positive. And so the auditors will be coming to the board meeting. We're trying to set them up for December if that works. If not, definitely in January to give their report. But a very good business office report. Carrie and I met with the Health Insurance Consortium, because health insurance is one of the issues with a budget that we are doing every year. Health insurance always comes up as very expensive. We got a positive report from M3 that health insurance for our consortium is coming in right about what we had budgeted this year, which is again still early in the year, but right now very positive. And then Carrie's having so much fun with this past budget, I told her that right after Thanksgiving, for most districts, this is when we really sit down and we put this budget to bed. I know it's only November, but we will start working on the 26, 27 budget right after Thanksgiving and going through the entire process of what a budget should look like. So we'll be meeting with the board specifically, but also Angie about what do the schools need specifically, what curriculum needs do we need, meeting with the Buildings and Grounds Committee and with Chad, what's the need so that we can build a budget from the ground up, not necessarily from, we're gonna guess there's $6.3 million and work your way down so that you have to spend everything. We really should build a budget from the ground up and see where we end up. And hopefully there's enough money, and if there's not, then we make the decisions about what do we need to make a difference. So that starts in earnest right after Thanksgiving. Heather's gonna be talking just a little bit about our district data and assessment, but we did a curriculum audit, so to speak. We brought CISA 6 in about a week and a half ago, and we had 2 teachers join us, and Heather and Angie and I, and we brought in Eric Larson, who's a fabulous person from CISA 6. He goes all over the state to interpret our data and give us updates about what's needed. And I'll let Heather talk more about that, but between Heather and Angie, our curriculum is looking, our test scores are up this year. I anticipate that they will continue to grow because I think we're doing things right. But not only is curriculum part of that, but it's also discipline and behavior comes up in every district I've ever been to. The kids are out of control. No, they're really not out of control. Things are going great. And Aaliyah right here is really helping push that along. And what we're finding out is, instruction really matters. And so when kids are in the classroom and we're teaching, we're seeing test scores go up, as we should. So those are all great, and some of that's because of professional development, and we've had several professional development days. We'll continue to use those. And then the last thing, talking about legislature, it was in the news big, that there's gonna be a new cell phone policy across the state, that we all have to update our cell phone policy. What I found by going through our cell phone policy, we don't have to update much at all. We don't let kids have cell phones in the classroom except for specific instructional purposes, or if it's really an emergency need from a family. And so that's basically what the new law states us to have. So that Act 42 is coming forward. Buildings and Grounds, Chad Stevens, you've heard me say this, and Carrie, I love those guys because they really own the buildings. Our buildings look great because of them. But at our first B&G meeting, we picked out a few significant items that needed to be addressed: the boiler maintenance, the HVAC upgrade. Those are all finished. They've been addressed. It's up and running. We will have heat this winter, and we'll have air conditioning in the summer. So that's good for all staff and students. Our security cameras are being purchased, and they are up at the intermediate school, and they will be up by the end of December here. So I think that's great. And then that door number 6. What's behind door number 6? It's actually here and it's going to be installed over Thanksgiving break. So we will be up and running. And then the last piece is a technology audit. I actually met with Ryan today. I haven't gotten all the way through my audit yet, but we will be meeting with staff members and just about we need to get feedback from the users of our technology. And that's not been done according to, as far as I've been researching that. We have lots of technology, but we haven't really specifically asked what's needed and is what we have appropriate and what can we do to help. And so we're going to be doing that audit early in next year. And then redundancy needs. What I'm finding is that, and this is one of my concerns, and again, it's morbid thinking, but I do worry about, if Angie gets hit by a deer on the way home, what's going to happen? Who's the principal? If Ryan gets hit by a deer, something happens, where are all the passwords and those type of things? And so those are important things. So that redundancy we will be talking about, and then putting together a tech request system, because it seems to me right now that the first person that gets to Ryan in the morning gets their needs met, and if you didn't get to him right away, so putting in a real tech request system so that he can plan accordingly. That will help him be more accountable too. So I think things are great. So again, overall, I'm not, just blowing sunshine But as the interim superintendent, I'm thrilled with this district. So many things are going well here. I just wanted to make sure that that feedback was received by the community, but also by the board. You guys are doing a good job. Thank you.
Any questions?
The stuff that got done, the completed stuff from the buildings grounds, that all come in within the bids that were submitted?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Great report.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to commend the office staff, especially Carrie with the struggles through last year. I mean, to come out with good marks on our audit is it's worth commenting on. So,
Thank you. Good job.
Complete sidebar, but also thanks to Colton's wife, who's, I don't even know if you know this, but is going to help us out as the district nurse.
Look at that. I don't think Colton knows that yet.
she knows more about this school than I do.
Anything else? All right, thank you. Well, Ms. Holmes, what do you have to
Okay,
say?
Well, I'll add on to this somewhat.
Okay.
So updates are through, obviously, November 18th. We had parent-teacher conferences, took place on November 3rd. And at the intermediate, we're gonna kind of revamp things a little bit as far as sign up, because here I'll use Hannah as an example. She sees all 129 intermediate kids, but we don't have 129 spots. 124, sorry.
There were 24 spots.
24 spots. We have 129, so we're looking at just revamping where maybe at that intermediate level, they don't have to sign up, but it would be more of like an open house type thing, and they can just come and go as they please. So we're gonna try it in April, because April's not a real busy conference time, and we'll see how that goes from there. And then end of trimester is coming up next week, November 25th. Data dig, like Larry mentioned, we did with CISA 6, that was amazing. And I asked if we could do it again the next year, because it really breaks down that information, where we're not digging for it, but he had it all right there and explained it. It was awesome. I mean, the two teachers that were participated in it were super excited, just to move forward with it. Elementary, we had Veterans Day Assembly on November 11th, where we had Randy Nails come in with some fellow veterans, and they spoke to the kids, and they had cute little posters and signs. We have the Turkey Trot coming up on Monday, November 23rd, and we have a little birdie rally on November 24th, and the theme is gratitude.
Birdie rally?
Little birdie rally, so it's like a celebration of students that are picked for having gratitude for the month.
Oh, okay.
So
We're the
it's a celebration.
Phoenix, so the Phoenix.
Right?
Sure,
Little
sure.
birdie rally. Yeah. Intermediate Veteran Day, they had an assembly and activities on November 7th, and they created a huge flag that we had on a bulletin board. Hannah put it together with the gal. What was the gal's name from Dodge County? Jessica. From Dodge County. She came in, she was really good. It was a new speaker that spoke to the kids. Kids got super involved. And then based upon that, then we had the chili cook-off on the 9th, which was kind of a good activity to do right before the chili cook-off. Kids went to the SpongeBob musical, which was put on by Hartford Union High School at Shower Arts Center. So our middle school students or intermediate students, grades 5 through 8, all went to that. And they really enjoyed it. First PEP assembly took place on November 17th. Student Council put it on, and we're celebrating Students of the Month at intermediate. And I felt like they really enjoyed it. They did some fun games. The kids weren't too embarrassed when their name was called for being Student of the Month. Read some nice quotes from the teachers for each student. And then 7th and 8th grade student council members are attending a leadership academy this Friday at CISA 6. So those 7th and 8th grade students that are part of student council will be doing that up at CISA 6 on Friday. And that's a report. So there we go.
Any questions from anyone? Comments? Very well, thank you. And,
Yep, and now Heather gets to come up and show off her tech skills, unlike Angie and I.
I'm like, Heather, you hands up?
Hi, thank you. Like Larry mentioned, he just asked after our data day that we put together kind of a little summary of everything that we kind of went through and some goals that we have going forward. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. So I wanted to start just with some highlighting some important events on our assessment calendar for this year. So this fall, All of our students participated in universal screening with AimsWeb, so that was completed in the months of September and October. And results were shared with families for the first time this year via our new data management system, which is called NextPath. And that universal screening with AimsWeb will be completed again this winter in January, and then for a spring session in either April or May, depending on our grade level. One thing that's a little out of the ordinary in our assessment calendar this year is that Honor Elementary was selected to participate in the NAEP assessment. NAEP stands for the National Assessment of Educational Progress. You sometimes hear it on the news every year. They report on the nation's report card and talk about how students are doing nationwide in 4th and 8th grade for math and reading. And so they choose a sample of schools every year. It just so happens that Honor Elementary was chosen this year. So our 4th graders will take that NAEP assessment in February in the areas of math and reading. And then just like we do every spring, our 3rd through 8th grade students will participate in the state summative assessment, which is the forward exam. So speaking of the forward exam is, the forward exam kind of leads into beginning to talk about our district and school report cards. So you might have already kind of heard some talk about that last week as DPI released the 24-25 school and district report cards publicly on November 11th. And so we wanted to just kind of share the results or overall of our district report card for this year. So DPI produces these report cards for all public schools in the state of Wisconsin. Scores for the report card are based on multiple indicators, including our students' math and ELA achievement, overall student growth, our target group outcomes, and then being what they call on track for graduation. We did want to note that this year, or for the 24-25 school year, the report card rating category score ranges were updated. So we, as a team, kind of are looking at this year as like, this is our baseline, we're starting from here, and how can we use this information to drive our goal setting and move forward. So you can see our district report card, our district score on the report card, as well as the individual building scores for both the elementary and the intermediate. I wanted to highlight that our district report card score of 66.2 is up from 63.6 in the 23-24 school year. Our elementary report card score is up from 71.3 in the school year before, and our intermediate school report card is up from 61 the previous school year. So we're proud to see that, all of those scores have increased.
Excuse me, when you say that the report card rating category cut scores, what does that mean?
So like the ranges here that the DPI uses to determine what is a meets expectation score or an exceeds expectation score, those ranges were adjusted or tweaked a little bit. So a district who may have been meeting expectations last school year with the same score may or may not, be meeting expectations. They just kind of changed the cut scores a little bit this year.
How do we compare to the state average?
It depends, I guess, on the indicator, the category. We'll talk a little bit about some of those. Yep. So one of the indicators for the state report card is achievement, overall achievement in ELA and math, also student growth. And that data for student growth and for student achievement comes from the results of the forward exam. So the forward exam is administered statewide in ELA and math for all students in grades 3 through 8 and 10. And then in 4th and 8th grade students also take science and social studies assessment for the forward exam. So to just kind of share our overall results, particularly in ELA and math, the graph shows, so starting at the bottom, it's kind of weird because our high scores are at the bottom and you kind of got to work your way up at the top. But the light blue at the bottom indicates the number of students scoring in the advanced category in ELA. The purple indicates the number of students who are considered to be meeting grade level expectations on forward exam. Yellow is approaching expectations, and then orange is developing. And so taking a look at our scores from 2023 to 2024-25 school year, last year 56.5% of our students were meeting expectations or advanced, which is up almost 10 percentage points from 46.8% of students meeting expectations the year before. And we saw some similar or perhaps even greater growth, I guess, in the area of math. So last year in math, 58.1% of our students were scored in that category of meeting expectations or advanced, compared to only 41.7% of our students the school year before. So we wanted to note that between these two school years, we did experience some staff turnover, particularly at the intermediate building. So we just wanted to recognize the hard work of our intermediate staff members, all of our staff members, but particularly just recognize those staff members who came into last school year, being that it was their first school year as part of the district. And like Larry mentioned in his report, how much consistency in instruction and staffing and all of that really does make a difference, and we feel that really contributed to the growth that we saw. So, some questions about that data?
I have a question, about the first percentages was, there's basically a 10% differential between your drop off, I would call it, from intermediate to elementary.
Are you looking at ELA or in?
No, this is back.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 When you show
I mean,
district.
yeah, I guess in my mind, you know, if kids are starting off good, why are they dropping off the map 10 points?
Can I speak?
Please do.
Yeah. Just in the last, I mean, last year we had 2 huge new hires there for math and ELA. And the math teacher that had left for health purposes, you know,
Yeah,
there was a lot.
yeah, I know math was.
In that year,
yeah.
it was, I mean, before I came, it was like, they had different teachers at different times, they were learning, you know, so there's no consistency. Now there's that consistency, and the math made a huge growth. So then even next year's scores, I bet you're even gonna be even greater, because then that low score that we don't like will kinda drop off. So, yeah, so consistency is huge with staff.
And just, you know, for the sake of comparison, to kind of look at the big picture, we wanted to just take a look at how HNR compared to other Hartford area schools, and just note that, you know, our score is overall consistent with the high school and Joint 1 from last year. And we know our neighbors at Foley Hill and Erin are doing fantastic things, and we feel very blessed that we all work very closely with representatives from those districts, and will continue to do so and learn from one another. So we've got some great resources that we are working with and pulling from. So from that, we wanted to just kind of share a summary of what we saw as overall our celebrations, and also where are we going from here, what are our opportunities. So obviously our overall growth from the 2023-24 school year to last year is something to celebrate, right? We saw overall score increases on the district report card and at each building. The on track to graduation category that you see if you look at any school report card includes multiple pieces of data, one of which is the 3rd grade reading scores. And when we looked at our 3rd grade reading scores, our 3rd grade reading scores were above what's considered to be the state average. And another factor is chronic absenteeism, which we saw was lower than the state average, which obviously is what you would want absenteeism to be. That said, we also recognize that chronic absenteeism is still and always will be, right, an area of opportunity that we continue to work on improving, because when kids are here, kids can learn. And we did also notice some correlations between our students who have higher levels of absenteeism or a higher number of absences and also lower scores, right? There's a correlation there. So we recognize that that's also still an opportunity for us to work on. And then celebration we've already kind of noted is just our overall increase in student achievement for last school year in the areas of math and ELA, but we just wanted to highlight that especially significant growth in both math from the school year before, and 60% of our students did the same in ELA in those grade levels. So, like you mentioned, that relatively, compared to the elementary, lower report card score at the intermediate, we also saw a lot of growth last school year, and we anticipate that will continue as we move forward. So from there, we've kind of determined as a team what are some opportunities for continuous improvement. One of those opportunities that we see is just student growth. So one of the measures on the report card is whether students, is the number of students who moved from, say, a meeting expectation score to an advanced score. That's kind of how they measure student growth. And we're currently sitting at approximately the 4th percentile in the state of Wisconsin for overall student growth. So we recognize that an opportunity for us is just to strive for a higher rate of growth for all of our students. So how can we not only get our students achieving, but how can we meet them where they're at and bump them forward? We also recognize another opportunity is to focus on what the report card refers to as our target group. Our target group includes the lowest scoring students who we want to see grow at an even higher rate of improvement to help close that achievement gap. So focusing on those students. And then another subgroup for us to focus on is the number of students scoring advanced in ELA and math, because that for us is below the state average. So how can we explore what we can do to advance our highest scoring learners, who often tend to have lower rates of growth because they're already scoring up here, but how can we continue to move those learners forward? So our short-term goals based on those just opportunities that we've seen are to focus both on instruction and student support, but also professional learning and collaboration among staff. So to accelerate student growth, we recognize that focusing on implementing some systems and structures that will support that continuous cycle of assessment, looking at our data, instruction based on that data, and then how can we provide support and enrichment is one opportunity that we want to work on, and that would include this year forming, we've already talked about a scheduling committee beginning the process after the first of the year to begin looking at next year's master schedule and how can we develop a master schedule for both buildings that's driven by student learning and maybe thinks outside the box to overcome some of the challenges we have as a, within the confines of a small school district. We're also emphasizing continued professional development for staff in the area specifically of ELA. So our elementary school teachers are scheduled to finish their early literacy training, which was required by Act 20 by the end of this school year. And then we've extended that now to our ELA intermediate team, who has begun working on some literacy training modules that are specific to adolescent literacy. And then both of those kind of lead us into our other goal this year of having our ELA teachers use that learning to apply that knowledge as we engage in a formal evaluation of our current ELA curriculum with the potential to adopt new materials or resources to support the needs of our students and the goal of continuing our growth by the end of next school year, so the 26-27 school year. So just overall, kind of a snapshot of where we're at and our goals. There are some resources out there if you want more information about the report card and how DPI develops those report cards and determines the scores. They've got a great website with some report card resources, and then the report card portal is open to the public, so you can look at the report cards for any public school district in Wisconsin as of last week. Any other questions for me?
Is there any separate data that shows how well prepared the 8th graders are for moving on to Hartford Union High School?
Part of that falls into the on track for graduation because, like I mentioned, 3rd grade reading is a part of that score. 8th grade math is also a part of that score that we receive. So I don't have that here, but it is there on a report card. We can take a closer look at that.
So is chronic absenteeism quite a problem here too, or is that more other bigger cities, or I don't know, is it something that we wrestle with?
You do with some
Some
students,
students?
yeah. Aaliyah and I kind of try to keep a closer eye on students that are raising a concern if they get to a certain level. You know, just checking in and calling home, seeing what's going on.
Okay.
So we try to stay on top of that as much as we can, just because when they're not here, obviously they're missing out
Right.
on the learning, so.
So the state average is about between 8 and 10%. But if you're in like West Bend, that is, you know, 900 kids.
Yes, right.
Well, here in HNR,
Yeah,
that,
right.
that's 22 kids.
That's still a lot.
We can do something for 22
Yeah,
kids though,
right.
and so that's kind of, that's our focus when we talk about day to day, when I'm talking with the teachers. What's nice about a small district like this, when we're talking, hey, 10% of our kids are doing really poorly there, 12% are below basic. Well, okay, that's where percentages and real numbers can get confused. Because
Sure.
for us,
Right, percentages
we're
are-
talking 34 of our students aren't doing well. What can we do specifically, and we can name them, you know,
Right.
whereas if you're in West Bend or something, you're talking now it's 3,000 kids, so I don't, it's much difficult. But for here, we can do something.
Yeah, they get
And
swallowed
so I'm
up.
kind of excited about that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you very much. I'm gonna kind of piggyback on this a little bit. I'll just give one copy here. Man, I passed it down. Cause I've been real in tune to this too, that the district mission here about students and reaching their fullest potential, and we wanna see them all excel. Just on the second page, you'll see why the board should be really in tune to what's happening too, because state statute really wants us to be primarily knowing what's going on with the students. What has concerned me for many years is that after COVID hit, the DPI did change the way they scored exams. And maybe that's what is meant by the cutting scores or whatever, I don't know for sure, but I've heard it from many different sources. And I never heard if they sort of compensated for what happened at COVID, because kids weren't in school and things were getting poor, and kind of hard to get a measuring stick when the scale is always sliding. So I was saying, how can we do something to look at the facts here? So what I did is on page 2 there, you'll see that I referred to 5 third-party scorecard entities. And actually, 6th one was the NAEP with the National Report Card, which evidently we haven't been in on too often, but
We are this year.
we are this year, right?
Yeah, 'cause you get
Maybe you
picked.
can jack their numbers up a little
Yeah.
bit. 'Cause
Well, I don't, you get picked and we got picked this year.
Yeah,
so.
because their numbers were really, they didn't have a real good report on nationally even. Children were falling, regressing, and Wisconsin was in that falling part of it. So, I went in there and did some research on all these 5 third-party report card places, and I just highlighted some of the percentages that they came up with individually for you to read in your spare time. The tall and short of it is that the numbers on these third-party cards are lower than the DPI numbers. And so, which one's right? They all say they use the same test. I don't know for sure. But I think as a board, we have to be aware of it and should do some digging into it. I love the goals you have planned here, because they're setting it in place. We're getting things set up where we can tackle what's needed to pull up the students that needed to be helped. Where did I notice that the middle school, I might have that highlighted somewhere too. I didn't highlight it in mine so I can see it, but we actually excelled in special ed, in the middle school, and ranked like at almost 80%.
On your page 5, yep.
Yeah.
Page 5, yep.
Which was like, we can do it. but why did they have us lower on all the other stuff? I don't know. You know, and this is all public information, so, I think we should continue to work together to really pull this off. Because if a small district, like you said, Mr. Administrator, when we get a group of kids at 10%, they aren't lost in the shuffle. We can actually say, okay, we have to help these, and that's what a small district's supposed to be able to do, is to really make a difference, like I say here, a generational difference. I mean, this is gonna affect the rest of their lives. That's what we're here for. Working together for academic excellence, and where you had all those feeder schools listed with the high school, I know that honor can be the top number there. I know it can. Especially with the staff we have now, we have an administrator that gets it, and a principal that gets it, and teachers that always have gotten it, but we had to just pull it all together and make it work, and I believe it can happen. It's just that, we have to take a little time to do it. And there's only so much time in a school day, and so much time in an administrator and principals and teachers' day, that I hope we don't get distracted with peripheral issues in our district before we really correct what we even saw in here is a challenge for us, you know. So I just wanted to just bring this to your attention, because I want to see all numbers agreeing, and right now I see a discrepancy, so we have to figure this out, you know. My concern.
And first of all, thank you. And that's kind of what Heather started at the
Absolutely.
very beginning. We talked about it at the day-to-day. It's no blame, no shame.
Right,
This is
absolutely.
who we are today. And from today moving forward, that's what we talked about at every professional development day, is instruction matters. We have to understand, but we want kids to learn. That's the number one.
Yeah.
And how do you assess that? Your assessments have to really come first before you actually teach. You have to know what the end looks like. And then you have to ask yourself two questions. What after I teach this lesson, they don't get it? What am I gonna do differently? I have to reteach it a different way, obviously. And then the fourth one, which causes behavioral problems more than anything else, don't bore kids.
Yeah.
If this is the lesson, and three of my kids already can do it now, why are you gonna make those three kids sit through it again? So if they already know it, what do you do for those kids? If they don't know it, what are you gonna reteach them? So those are the instructional practices that we are really focusing in on. So we are, again, I give Angie a lot of credit, the staff a lot of credit. And, you know, when I came in, I wasn't sure what to walk into. But the instructional practices going on this current year, and I've been in almost everybody's classroom, I'm seeing good instruction going on. So that's important to me.
Yeah. What I did see as a trend in all those numbers is that pre-COVID, I only looked at our schools, we were higher than post-COVID. So COVID affected everybody no matter what you did. COVID affected. What did the honor school district do during COVID years? The beginning couple of years, did they actually close the doors, or did we?
I think they were only closed for like 2 weeks, technically, I thought.
That whole spring.
Oh, that's spring.
In Wisconsin.
March of 20.
Yeah, March of 20.
March of 20 to the end of that school year. I tell you where I came from, there are many schools that closed all of 20 through Christmas and then into January. I know honor started back on September 1st, the way it should have been.
Yeah, right. So that is just something that happened, you can't do anything about, but it did knock us back a little bit.
It had lasting effects, no
Yeah,
doubt.
yeah. So I think we know that, and the numbers are there, and so, you know what? Let's do it.
Well, and it affected kids socially and emotionally,
Yeah.
which then, of course,
Yeah.
affects their intellectual capabilities too.
Absolutely. All right, thank you again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So we're going to move on then to 7th and 8th grade Washington DC trip.
Yeah, so every other year, Honor School District takes a trip with their 7th and 8th graders out to Washington DC. I've done that trip as a parent and as an administrator in the past. It's incredible. This is for May 16, 17, 13, 14, 15 of 2027, so not this spring. They just went last spring. So this is, they get the
Okay.
ball rolling for a year from now.
Okay.
So, but we need the board's approval to say, yes, we can do this, so that Hannah can get out there and get the contracts ready and get them signed so that we can get our planning together so that we can get the best dates possible for our kids. So I'm asking the board to approve that, we can move forward with the 7th and 8th grade Washington DC trip for May 13th, 14th, and 15th of 2027.
I went on a trip 1 year, and it was amazing. It's an amazing experience. We should definitely continue to do it.
Supposed to be safer now too, right?
Should be
Over there?
safer, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's the pleasure of the board.
I would just make a comment, it might be, nice for staff rotation on the trip perhaps, besides one teacher all the time.
In my defense, we take the other person, we do rotate, we went last year.
Yes, yes,
I went
you
one
do,
year.
yes.
You went with me.
Hannah always has to go just because she runs the show on that one.
Yes, I was just innocent bystander.
Yeah.
Maybe we take a board member.
Yeah.
Both
Maybe
the
Sandy
volunteer
wanna go?
already here, yeah.
I'll have my time, yeah. Make a motion to approve the May 13th, 14th, 15th, 2027 Washington DC trip.
I'll second.
Motion and second is here. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Get her going.
B is not a voting item, it's just an information item for you, but I wanted to bring it up. The WASB, the Wisconsin Association of School Boards Convention, is every year. It's January 20th through 23rd. As a board, we had talked about learning more about school finance, and at the WASB convention, the reason I have it on the agenda, I'm inviting the entire board, or any of you that are able to come. It's called School Finance Puzzle. I told Carrie that she was gonna volunteer to go also, and I would also go down there. It's a wonderful, I've gone through it in my previous district with board members. They do a really nice job of giving the ABCs of school finance. So if you are able to make Tuesday, January 20th from 1:30 to 5, I highly encourage you to go. If you are able to do that after you check your calendars, if you let me know or Carrie know, we would register you. There is a cost to it, it's $95 per person, but I do think it's very worthwhile and will really help from a board perspective of, when they get into property tax and mill rates and specifically I have right here, they talk about will become acquainted with the basics of the budget cycle, revenue limits, equalization, aid, property taxes, and referendums, while learning how these components interrelate and impact board decision making. But it's a 3.5-hour session, and it's a very well presented. I've seen it in the past. They do a really nice job. And then I'll even bribe you if you choose to come. I'll take you out for a drink of your choice and dinner on my budget, not yours. So it would be, I think it'd be a great experience if the whole board can come, or even a couple of you could come. And then the second one, I think, Dan, you are the delegate assembly person. I'm not sure if that's true.
So I
Do
heard.
you remember
Yeah,
last year who the delegate is? All right, well, our January
That
board.
meeting was on a board meeting night, so I couldn't.
No, I remember
make
that,
it.
because you were supposed to go to CSAC.
It is,
Yeah.
it is this year also. It's January 21st is the delegate assembly.
It's also a board meeting.
It is a board meeting night, but the assembly is from 1:30 to 3:30. So we could go down there, we could probably make it back here by 6:30, if you're able to make it as the delegate. I've sat through those. I'm not sure if you'd like it or not, but
What's the date?
It's a learning property. It's January 21st.
Okay.
And it's from 1:30 to 3:30, and it's at the Beer facility downtown Milwaukee, so.
Oh, not too far away.
Drinks and dinner offered there too. It could make for an interesting board
Well,
meeting.
no, because
Okay.
we will come back for the board meeting, maybe after the board meeting, but. So I just wanted to throw that out to the board and highly recommend, if you're able to go, some of these conferences are really dull and boring, but this one is pretty well done, especially the pre-conference workshop. So if you're able to make it, I highly encourage you to. And then C is the discussion we had last week. Maybe I'll let Clayton start because he ran the meeting last month. And we tabled it until you could get here, Dan, so with that, I'll turn it back over to the board.
Do you have something you want to say, Clay, about that?
Just that, basically, I think we should have a forum in which the public can be involved in these types of input discussions, about where the district, where they would like the district, as well as everyone would like the district to go. So, more or less, the topics we have on here, so that people can bring many different perspectives to the challenges we will face here in the future. And basically, I think we should create a future planning committee and have meetings for that, because there's a lot of knowledge that can be brought to the table in regards to, there's people in the district who watch the legislative docket quite closely and bring that to our attention. There's people that know finances much better than I or a lot of us do, buildings, all that kind of stuff. We need to have a place where the public can put in their 2 cents and we can take it under advisement in our decisions.
Okay.
So,
I see under point C, we have the 4 items talking about maintaining 2 buildings, single site, consolidating with neighboring districts. Any board members here have anything to comment on any of those right now? Since it's on the agenda? Any points to be made?
Well, I do have one thing to say about all this, is I think a lot of the information that was brought to the community in the last referendum was not truthful, incorrect. I think if there's any discussion with the community, I think we need to start from scratch. And we can't take any information from the old referendum and throw it into the new one. There was just too much false information going on here. And we need to start over, and regather all this information so the community and the board can make a proper decision on which way this all needs to go. Either 1 site, 2 site, consolidate, but we need to start all over and get fresh information.
And I think that's exactly right, and one of my recommendations, if we choose to move forward with a planning committee, would be to survey the entire district. Because I think there are 20% of people on each side, 100%, I'm 100% right if you're this 20% group, and then there's this 20% group that think they're 100% right, and the reality is there's 60% of people who really don't have an opinion but don't know enough about it. And we need to hear from everybody. So there's a company out there called School Perceptions that will come in with the board. You get to create, or we get to create the questions we want to ask the community. It's mailed to them. It's not done, it's an actual mailed to every single resident of all the entire HNR communities. There's an online version, or you can fill it out and mail it back to them. And they get an unbelievable, they talk about, many surveys out there, if you get a 10% response rate, they can mathematically make that correct. They get over 60 to 70% response rate when they do these school perception surveys. So, because people care about their schools. So that would be a recommendation going forward. If the board chooses to go with this plan of creating a planning committee, And again, I think for the planning committee because, for example, earlier today, I think it was Mr. LaCrosse asked about what's needed at either building, and I could say something to the effect that, we did a 2023 facilities assessment, and we have that information, so we don't have to do everything from scratch, but a lot of it has to be redone, and the information needs to be shared, because I don't think that information was shared before.
Well, it should be reviewed.
Correct.
For accuracy.
Yep.
And another, I guess where I'm coming from, one example is, the taxpayers were gonna be on the hook for a total of $38 to $43 million in having this Taj Mahal that a lot of people call it. And I was told that this all derived from whoever did the study, that there's gonna be 400 students in the district. Well, that was only 2 years ago. Now we're looking at declining enrollment.
Right.
So 400 students is it's totally inaccurate. So where these numbers came from, I don't know. But we can't take and say we're gonna have 400 students and this is what we have to go off of.
Right.
Everybody needs more information on this stuff.
And accurate information.
A lot of this stuff just got crammed down our throats.
I would say I'm just looking for some consistency as well. This school is a business, and we're basically failing. Look at our open enrollment numbers. That needs to get at least try to claw back to 0. I don't believe it's anything to do with staff or administration wise, but we just don't have, we can't get our story out there. The perception of honor isn't, say, as good as Aaron or Slinger or whoever it is. That's something we have to try to tackle to change. And I think, we've had inconsistent leaders, which is part of the problem. It all comes top down. And I mean, Larry, I totally like you in the spot where you're at, but you came out of retirement for this job. I don't know how much longevity you have here either, honestly. You know what I mean? It's just, I'm just stating facts about
At least
it.
another 12 years.
Yeah.
I always say 12, that's my bad.
Yeah. Ever since the referendum, we've been in kind of, I don't know, autopilot for sure. And a vision and one goal that we can all proclaim at the school and would be, I think, work towards bringing those numbers back, scores, get teachers excited to be here, and it'll transfer through. I guess that's just what I think about it. Yeah.
But I think it's important to have.
When you see it, we're just gonna let the thing kind of drown and go out. That's kind of the attitude staff will carry it out. You know what I mean? It'd be like I don't know. Same thing with any other boss saying we're not gonna grow our business. I'm not saying we have to grow the school. Obviously, enrollment numbers are gonna be enrollment numbers. The families aren't there. Totally get that, but I think we can still, do it better. I guess I think we can do it better. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, I thought you were done. But I think it's important to have a committee like Clayton's talking about, where we have the board, we have the community, and throughout the community we have a wealth of knowledge. And it's the community's buildings, so they should be involved. They should have some say.
I'm curious, you weren't here last meeting, what are your thoughts?
I don't have any thoughts.
I doubt
I
that.
doubt that.
You know, you mentioned error in enrollment. I hear that half the students are enrolled in. They don't have many students in their district.
80%, I believe it is, actually.
Even 80. I mean, there's a way to get your school full. I believe if we get our numbers up, we're not gonna worry about empty classrooms. It really won't happen. And I view that as our priority number one. The 2-site, 1-site thing, right now, is not the important part to me. It's peripheral. It's out there. I'm not saying disregard it. I'm saying we have more important things to do here, and if we can't get this in order, what right do we have to come to the general public to say we want something different to teach our children? We should be able to do it right here. I know that when consolidation happened, they set up this Fund 46, right? That was set up because the intention was we're getting into 2 buildings and we want to maintain those 2 buildings and we're going to maintain those 2 buildings. I still think that is the intention of the general public, excuse me, because the last 2 years they have sent out quite a message, loud and clear. I see it. The referendum was one thing. We have 25% of the population has children in their school, in their houses, in their families, and only 15% of the voters voted for the referendum. So not even all the families, in simplistic terms, even voted for it. And then there's 35 to 40% of our residents in this district do not have any interest in getting their children to school anywhere because they're above that age. I think we have to be careful here. We can improve our serve so that they can see that we know what we're doing. And there's circumstances that affect in a negative way, obviously, but we can overcome them together. What do you need for education? You need parents and students, you need teachers, curriculum, and a classroom to do it in. What else do you need to educate students?
We're not talking about Taj Mahal though this time
No,
around.
we're talking about a building, a room.
Yeah.
We have those things, so we can do this, and
I would argue though that if you would ask our staff, support staff, teaching aides, the logistics of the 2 buildings is stretching and is adding to those numbers to some degree.
could be, but can't that be overcome too?
With more
For
staff.
that,
well-
Here,
More
here,
staff.
here, can I throw
Yeah,
something in?
please
I'm
do,
sorry.
please do.
Scheduling is always a nightmare. And last year we worked pretty hard on it, but it's tough because we share our specialists and it's tough with traveling and then just that travel time, that takes time away from kids. When you have to give 30, not 30 minutes to get to their building, but
The travel isn't, it's when one
travel.
person's gone from the other building. Basically, half our students are inaccessible to someone they should have access to.
Yeah.
We aren't providing the service that we want to provide, I guess, in my mind.
Exactly. I mean, yeah. And then I just look at myself for, Leah. I love it here. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm handling both buildings fine, but it would be great to be in one building because just dealing with discipline issues that maybe arise, maybe all in one spot right there can deal with it. But I always tell everyone I'm a phone call away, and I will drive over. But yeah, just with staffing, it's a challenge. I mean, it is a challenge. That absolutely, 100%. Unless we hire.
I think the results are proving it, I guess. I mean, there's a lot of factors, the COVID drop off we had some rough staff, instances up at the intermediate for sure, but I think just the 2-site system is proving to be a failing business model in my mind. That's just the way I look at it.
That was the consolidation happened in 2016? Okay.
And per your, stats, 2016 was when we peaked in our scores. And we have been sliding since. So,
Comparing 2016 to 2020, or 2022. We don't have every years in there, so.
no, we don't, but it,
So we don't know when the drop happened, but,
right,
yeah.
but we've gone from there to now.
And I do.
You're an outsider, Larry, I guess, what are your
I
initial thoughts on
do
this?
think that you can have two conversations at the same time. And our focus, my focus, Angie's focus, the teacher's focus is on student achievement. It will continue to be on student achievement. I said this, I think, back in August, in my second meeting, that even if we choose as a board, like, we're gonna go to a referendum, I'm gonna tell you, you're not really going to referendum for another 2 years at the earliest because of all the work that you're gonna have to do before you can go there. So we can have long-term discussions about single site, double site maintaining. We still have to maintain both buildings regardless of what we're doing for the next several years. I think we can have that conversation on the side and still maintain our focus on student achievement. Because we can't lose focus of that. I think what happened, again, I'm newer here, I think you ran a referendum a couple of years ago, and I don't wanna be critical of people who aren't here. It wasn't well-run referendum, obviously. And it created resentment, and I think that everybody's it's been that dark hole here. And I think the only way you can get out of that is by bringing it back up, saying, hey, I'm not sure if we want a single site or not. Let's talk to people. Let's survey people. Let's see what does the community want. It may come back 90 people or 90% of the people say, keep the 2 sites. If that's what it comes back for, as a board, you're given very clear instruction. We're gonna maintain 2 sites, and we're just gonna do it as best we can. It might come back 50-50, and then you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. Or it might come back, let's do a single site, and 80% of the people want a single site, but they don't wanna spend any money on it. Okay, how do we do that with Fund 46? Or maybe they're willing to invest several $1 million, $23 million or 39, no chance. I would never grant that to a board or community. That's just, I mean, I would vote no for that.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna raise my own taxes $1,200. I can't do that, and no, nor can almost anybody. That's why you had 15% of the people vote yes, because it was such an outrageous tax hike on everybody. It was just a poorly run referendum, and I think there was a lot of backdoor discussions and then when that happens, and I kinda said that at the beginning of my tenure here too, if we don't tell our story, they're gonna tell the story. And what they're telling isn't the truth. Because when you make up your story, when the community makes up the story, they're not starting from a positive mindset. They're starting at, you guys are hiding something from me. So I think that's why we need to be out as public as possible and letting people know, hey, we are having this discussion, come join the discussion. And again, that doesn't take away from instruction.
Right, and that's my concern is that we're not doing this to put this on the front burner. We have more important things to be concerned with here, and a single site, double site, that is just secondary. And I know that can be our emphasis, but
But if that's playing a role in our scores, which it could
it
be.
might, yeah, we don't know.
I think, what does it hurt to trust our administrators, to trust our staff that they're gonna prioritize that? And what does it hurt for us to do this school perceptions survey and tell us what direction the community wants us to go?
And if that's what the board wants, that's fine.
I can bring a person from, what's great about school perceptions is they're located in Slinger, and they're a national organization. But Darren Severs was the former superintendent at Slinger, who's one of the head honchos of school. He will come to a board meeting, he'll tell you exactly how to do this, how much it's gonna cost, because nothing's free.
I would say, what are
Right,
they,
that's
I mean, I think, could we come up with our own set of questions, or why do we need school perceptions, I guess is.
Well, we can hear them out. I mean,
I do like that it's a 67% response rate, nothing is that. Nobody can do surveys anymore and get more than 10 to 12% response, so they've got something going for them if they get that kind of a response rate.
yeah.
doesn't mean we have to.
I don't know,
Right.
We can listen to what they have to say.
I see something from the school, and my alarm's gonna go off, and I'm not even gonna read the next sentence half the time, and I'm gonna say no. That's the way I think half the community's gonna look at it.
It's because of how things were handled 2 years ago that there is going to be
Perhaps.
that. Yeah.
Sure.
And if that's the information we get back, then that's the information we can use to move forward. Cause right now, we're all still kinda guessing.
Yeah, no, we have to start somewhere, I agree, yeah.
And I would just like to say that, I guess it was never, I never expressed it, but yes, the academic side of things has to remain focused, priority number one. I guess I didn't address that because I just assumed that's where we all were, but come out and say it, right? That is first and foremost with all of it. This is secondary, this is ancillary to that discussion. If we can achieve both, you know, of having this discussion while maintaining and growing the academic side of things, awesome. But if that starts to slip, I agree with you. This needs to be, but we have to try. That's my 2 cents on it.
Any other discussion? So what about the future planning committee thing? You wanna start that ball rolling right now, or?
I think we should. Or do we want to do the survey first? Either in-house or.
The committee can make.
My recommend.
I think the committee should start first.
My recommendation would be that the board create a future planning committee, which you can have 5 members on the future planning committee. I think we had talked about, Clayton, that we could run it simultaneously or the same night as B&G committee meetings, or eventually, hopefully we can, have personnel and finance committees again, and, or committee of a whole. What I did in a former district is board members didn't like having individual committees. We did a committee of the whole, and we'd meet twice a month instead of once a month. And the first committee of the whole everything was just discussion. And then we bring it to the board meeting the next time, so everybody could come. But the discussion, the committee of the whole, what that allows is input from everybody, so you can listen to everybody. And we can call it whatever committee you want, but we came up with future planning committee, so that'd be my recommendation, that we get that ball rolling, and then that committee makes the recommendation to the board that yes, let's do this survey once you get that information. It's not a $50,000 survey, but there's several $1,000s to put it all together.
All right, I make a motion to form a future planning committee.
I second.
Okay, motion and second. Do we want to say what realm we want the individuals to be expert in, or are we just going to?
It's open to
up
the public.
Everybody?
Yeah, it should be open to the public.
Okay.
What are you thinking?
Should be interesting. That's
Oh,
all
we had.
See, we're trying to come up with whatever.
We had.
Whatever.
You wanna put more rules to it, or what are you thinking, or? I'm just, yeah.
No, I'm trying to make it really effective by having people on there that really for sure know what we want to find out, Like you said, there's people that know things better than you do, and
100%.
I think they're mostly pretty much sitting right there, so they'll be at the meetings, they know who they are.
And at a minimum, I'd like to leave it open so that if someone knows someone, they can be like, hey, this is kind of your wheelhouse, you should come to this. So that those experts can find their way to us versus just starting off from a point of exclusivity, right? I
We
think it
had
should
a
be-
building and grounds committee summer
October.
before. few people in the audience were in it, and it ran real well. I think we had maybe 6 or 7 people on it. And everybody had their suggestions, everybody had their specialties. We worked through it, and it worked great.
Okay.
I think if it gets further down the tracks and if stuff happens, then maybe stuff will definitely would have to get fine tuned or more narrowed, but I think at this point, broad and open is good, I guess.
I just think it's a little premature yet, but I could be wrong. It'd be the first time. But, so we have any more conversation on this? All right, all those in favor of forming the, committee, whatever we decide to call it,
Future planning.
future planning, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'll be opposed yet. So we have the future planning committee coming.
You're opposed, I'm just writing it down.
So who's going to be spearheading this?
I'll take that up.
Okay. And just work with our administrator on that.
So everyone can send their mail to me.
Are we gonna try to set a dates for something for meeting on that? Are we thinking like second Wednesdays or fourth Wednesdays or?
One of the announcements is that, remember, the next board meeting comes up quick because we moved it to December 10th for Christmas concert. So I think by the next board meeting, Clay and I can talk and get some dates out so that we can get them out for people so they can have them on calendars and get it started right after the new year.
I think that'd be probably a good idea.
Will these meetings have to be?
Give everybody a break for the
Posted.
holidays.
They do have to be posted,
Yeah.
yeah, because it's a board committee meeting, so it has to be posted. There are some rules to it. But it's much easier than a formal school board meeting.
And as far as that goes, just as long as we know about it 3 days in advance, they post it, the rules are followed. That's not that hard, we just have to set up a date and time.
All right, moving along. Announcements and events.
And Angie's talked about a few of these, but coming up, if something that's really cute to watch, and board members are always invited to come to the schools, our 4-year-olds, that's not 4,000, that's 4K. They do a stone soup activity, it's great. If you've ever seen the book Stone Soup about, that's what it's about. Reminder that we did switch the board meeting to December 10th, so that's coming up very quickly. Christmas concert is December 15th for the elementary, December 16th for the intermediate. And again, really cute stuff, watching 4-year-olds do their Christmas concert, that's December 19th. So with that, I would ask to move to number 7 and have the board adjourn into closed session, please.
Make a motion to adjourn closed session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Carried. We will move into closed executive session.